Nintendo has spent a number of console and handheld generations giving their hardware some pretty unique names, and when you pair some of them together, you can actually see how Nintendo has chosen to name the successors of their respective hardware. The NES to the SNES or Super Nintendo, the Game Boy to the Game Boy Advance, and the Wii to the Wii U. It was always something different with Nintendo, over, say, Sony's PlayStation 1 through 5. Now, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that naming convention, and it seems that Nintendo shares the same sentiment. In fact, Nintendo's intentionally went with this approach when announcing their new piece of hardware. And I think it's pretty smart for them to do this. So let's talk about it. Let me just do a brief summary for everyone so we're all caught up. On January 16, 2025, a little after 5 a.m. Pacific time, Nintendo shadow dropped a video announcement unveiling the successor to the Nintendo Switch, the Nintendo Switch 2. This first look at the console shows off a number of updated designs and features from the original 2017 Nintendo Switch model, as well as a new Mario Kart. On top of that, this first look also confirms backwards compatibility with Nintendo Switch software. Not all of it though, you want to look at the finer details later. A Nintendo Direct in April, and hands-on opportunities for folks throughout the same month. And that's everything. Oh, and I should also mention the new snap that we got for Nintendo Switch 2. I love it. So, quick checkup on everybody. How do y'all feel about the Switch 2? Honestly, I really like it. The magnetic Joy-Cons are a great change, as well as the overall size increase to them. And the buttons, especially those SL and SR buttons. Also, the thing next to the SL button might be a scanner for mouse support, which I believe was a leak, but I think it was also just kind of shown somewhat as the Joy-Cons were being attached to their straps and they were sliding around that segment of the video. Interesting addition on that one. I like the inverted colors. They're going with a darker shade of gray for the Joy-Cons, but they're also keeping accents of blue and red, pretty much reflecting the blue and red Joy-Cons from the launch Nintendo Switch. Albeit it's like a different shade of red. I'm not sure a lot of people like that one. But I do hope that they offer other options at the launch of, Switch 2. I think the kickstand is very similar to the Switch OLED's kickstand, which I think a lot of people are going to love, versus, Switch 1's original kickstand. The dock also has taken some notes with the OLED model, having curved ends, although I think these are a little bit more curved out, even more so than the OLED. Oh, they also brought back the Joy-Con grip, which is now supporting the magnetic Joy-Cons. Seeing the Switch 2, you're probably thinking, well, this kind of looks like a Nintendo Switch, but bigger, like a Switch Pro. I mean, you're not wrong. And I have to be honest with myself too, I wasn't really completely shocked at the design. A lot of leaks. I've been seeing a lot of leaks for that. But I've also been talking to friends about this, about what the console is going to look like, and we pretty much came to the same conclusion. But I think it's fair. I think this is safe. I think this is pretty smart. But why though? Why the successor, the Nintendo Switch 2, instead of something else? This is something you'd probably want to take a look at as far as the biggest problem that Nintendo has to face in realizing a successor in the first place. If you look at the history on the last two consoles, that being the Wii U and now the Nintendo Switch, you'll notice that there's a big gap in how successful one console is over the other one. Nintendo Switch. There's a lot of expectation to ensure that the next big thing isn't going to end up the same way as the Wii U did. And the Wii U was nowhere near as good as a successor to the Nintendo Wii. Now it's time for the Switch to pass the baton. And the issue is that the Switch is one of the best selling consoles for the Nintendo, surpassing even the Wii. Shout out to the Nintendo DS though. And while we're at it, let's not forget the fact that Nintendo Switch is supposed to be this culmination of all these different features and experiences from its predecessors. But no pressure. I also have seen a lot of folks online just voicing their concerns and disappointments about the Switch 2 reveal, saying it's boring, it's not innovative, or, one of the PC handles is a better option than this. Now, I'm not here to criticize anyone, especially for those who just don't find Nintendo to be their jam, but I would pose this question to everybody. If you don't really like what you're seeing, what would you do? What would you do in Nintendo's shoes? What would you do to surpass what is basically Nintendo's all-in-one shampoo and body wash and all the success it's brought in? What kind of wacky gimmick are you going to slap on this boy, or even a new model, and promise to exceed expectations? It's a lot to consider. And if one of your answers is, making the console stronger, well, you're right, but I think there's a lot more in store in April when we're going to be due for more information. But right now, we're just lacking a lot of information as far as the hardware side and the software side. We didn't even talk about Mario Kart in this video, but best believe that's not the only game that they have in store for us, especially with this hands-on opportunity happening in that same month after the Direct, which I'm very excited for, by the way. I'm excited to see additional stuff for the Switch 2 itself, but also the software, but also maybe get some elaboration on that mysterious redacted button right below the home button. But again, I am also looking forward to the games that will take advantage of the Switch 2's tech and possible features. I'm also looking forward to how and when these updates are going to be impacting the Nintendo ecosystem. Not just Nintendo Switch Online and Nintendo Music app, but also their alarm clock, the Alarmo. If you guys just did a double take on that, yeah, they did an alarm clock. You can actually check out my experience with that here if you want to learn more. Somewhere here. Also, if you guys need a little bit of background noise as well, you can pull up our top 10 games played in 2024 video. It's nearly 3 hours long. So if you guys have something you gotta do, you can all just do that while you're listening to it. Thank you all so much for tuning in on this one. Feel free to like the video, share it with a friend, subscribe for more updates as far as Nintendo Switch 2. And we'll see you guys in the next one.